Alright, so today in class we looked at and kind of derived the formula for the distance between 2 points. So tonight we're just going to maybe look at a few examples here. Okay, so if we look at number 1, find the distance between -1, 4 and the point 3, -2. So to find that distance, we're going to use the distance formula, which is the difference in x's squared. Square didn't work out quite well there. Plus the difference in the y's squared. So we got -1 minus 3 squared plus 4 minus -2 squared. So that's going to be -4 squared plus 6 squared, which gives me the square root of 16 plus 36. Which is the square root of 52. 52 is 4 times 13, so that's going to give me 2 square root of 13. Okay? If we wanted the decimal, then we could just plug it in the calculator. Okay? Midpoints. Find the midpoint between those. Well, the midpoint is basically just the average x value and the average y value. Okay? So we have 1 plus -8 divided by 2, and we'd have -6 plus -4 divided by 2. That's going to give me -7/2. That's going to give me -10 divided by 2, which is -5. And there's my midpoint. Okay, so pretty basic stuff that we did in Algebra 1. We did again probably in Algebra 2 a little bit, and a little bit more in geometry. So just kind of some quick review here over these topics. Okay. Write the standard form of the equation of a circle with a center, 0, 0, and a radius of 2. So remember we talked about, we derived that formula for a circle, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where the center is the point hk and the radius of the circle is r. So if my center is 0, then h and k are both 0. So I'd have x squared plus y squared, and r squared would be 4. And there's the equation of our circle. Okay. Try number 4. So we're going to have x minus -2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 4 squared. So that becomes x plus 2 squared plus the quantity y minus 3 squared equals 16. And there is the equation of our circle with a center at -2, 3 and a radius of 4. Identify the center and the radius. Well, remember that our form is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So if I have x plus 3, that means that my h must be -3. My k is 1, so the center of my circle is at -3, 1. And that's r squared, which means that r is 2. General form. This is a little different. We didn't really talk about this in class today, but this is a general form for the equation of a circle. We have x squared plus y squared plus dx plus ey plus f. d, e, and f are just some numbers. Okay, so they're just real numbers. And that's equal to 0. So there's going to be times when we're going to want to change from standard to general or general to standard depending on what we're doing. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at next. So taking this general form and getting it to standard, that's going to require us to kind of rearrange the terms a little bit. I'm going to rearrange, and I'm going to kind of group my x's together. I'm going to leave a little space. I'm going to group my y's together and leave a little space, and I'm going to move the 23 over. Okay. Now think about what the general form is. The general form had x minus h squared. So that means what I'm having to do now is I'm going to have to take these things and write them as perfect squares. So to do that, we're going to complete the square. Okay. And we did this back in Algebra 2, and hopefully you've seen the Khan Academy video on completing the square. So when I complete the square, I'm going to take 4 divided by 2, which is 2, and square it. That's plus 4. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3, and squared is plus 9. So if I add a 4 and a 9 to the left, then I also have to add a 4 and a 9 to the right. So what do I end up with? Well, this x squared plus 4x plus 4 is really the quantity of x plus 2 squared. Plus, the y minus 6y plus 9 is really the quantity of y minus 3 squared. Equals 23 plus 4 is 27 plus 9, which is 36. And now I'm back to the general form, and I can identify the center of the circle as negative 2, 3, and I can identify the radius as being 6 units. So completing the square, regrouping and completing the square to get from that general form back to this standard form, which allows us to identify the center and the radius of the circle. So I got 4 problems that I want you to try for tomorrow. Okay. So here's the first 2 problems, finding the distance between the 2 points. You notice it says give the answer in simplest radical form and rounded to the nearest hundredth. Okay. Secondly, find the midpoint of the segment joining those 2 points. And 3 and 4, I want you to graph the equation of that circle. I want you to sketch what it would look like on a graph. And then I want you to take this general form for a circle and put it into standard form and tell me what the center is and what the radius is. Okay? And we will go over those tomorrow in class.